The Universal DH has been confirmed. Let's talk about it next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is Friday, February 11th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Chris Towers. Which players have gained the most value with the DH in the National League? Let's start with the New York Mets, Chris, who have multiple options, different avenues they can go here. Robinson Cano, J.D. Davis, and Dominic Smith. Who do you think gains the most value?
My guess would be Robinson Cano, just because the last time we saw him, he was really, really good. Had almost a 900 OPS in 2020. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, he's 40. Maybe even. Is he exactly 40? He's old.
He's old.
And he just served a season-long suspension for using performance-enhancing drugs. So, seems like a good case for someone who's going to be worse than the last time we saw them, and he probably will be. I'm not expecting a 900 OPS, but I'm not necessarily expecting him to fall on his face either. You know, maybe he just lost it in between. Maybe the lack of performance-enhancing drugs will be a hindrance, but I tend to think players who get suspended for performance-enhancing drugs keep the gains that they had from that, at least to a certain extent. So I think Robinson Cano has a chance to be a useful fantasy option, a good source of batting average, runs, RBI, and maybe 15 homers.
39 years old for Robinson Cano.
39. So. Sorry, Robbie, for overstating it.
Let's not round up yet. For the Marlins, your Marlins, our Marlins, Brian Anderson, Avisail Garcia, and Garrett Cooper seems like they could all work into this DH role. Garrett Cooper in particular, Chris, 284 batting average and 845 OPS last year. The problem is, can he stay on the field?
Yeah, and look, if you listen to the full show, you know that if he stays healthy is one of my favorite terms, because I love drafting guys whose only case against them is if they can stay healthy. Garrett Cooper, he's not necessarily a sure thing the way that I think someone like Byron Buxton, who has injury concerns, is. But man, Garrett Cooper's been pretty good. He's got a 282 lifetime batting average, 807 OPS. He crushes the ball. Average exit velocity over 91 miles per hour last season. Expected batting average 269, X slug 258, and they were both better in 2020 and 2019. So, his 440 expected WOBA on contact is elite. That is really, really good territory. I don't think he's going to be an elite hitter, but 285, 20 homers, 85 RBI, that's entirely possible for Garrett Cooper if he plays every day.
Let's move over to the West Coast and take a look at Darin Ruf with the San Francisco Giants, who's coming off a really strong offensive year, 271 batting average, 16 homers, a 904 OPS. Another one of these Giants that just absolutely crushes the ball. Chris, I think an opportunity here for Darin Ruf to play every day. He's much better against lefties, but he's actually adequate against right-handed pitching as well.
Yeah, he might be a platoon guy, but another guy who just has absolutely crushed the ball in the StatCast era overall, but specifically the past two seasons. And 2021, I mean, on a per plate appearance basis, he was one of the best hitters in baseball. He had a 904 OPS, and the underlying numbers all back it up. 93.1 mile per hour average exit velocity. That is Nelson Cruz and Vladimir Guerrero territory. 55% hard hit rate, 490 xWOBA on contact. What we've seen since he's come back from the KBO is a really, really good hitter who maybe he's just a platoon guy. Maybe he's not an everyday player, but if you can get him cheap enough, and you probably can in most drafts, Darin Ruf is certainly worth a look.
Roster Resource currently has Paul DeJong penciled in as the DH for the St. Louis Cardinals, but they have a few other options that I think are quite interesting, and two prospects, Juan Yepez and Lars Nootbaar. 80 grade name, awesome name there, Lars Nootbaar. They were both great in the Arizona Fall League last year, and Yepez in the minors last season, 286 batting average, 27 home runs, a 969 OPS. He's kind of positionless as well. Feels like he would just slot perfectly into a DH role. Chris, do you have any interest in either of the St. Louis Cardinals?
I think Yepez, from a fantasy perspective, is more interesting. I think Lars Nootbaar, from a language perspective, is incredibly fascinating. I love his name. But yeah, Yepez as a 23-year-old, playing most of the season in AAA last season, 27 homers, with not an exorbitant strikeout rate. 82 strikeouts and 434 plate appearances, 286 average. You know, his numbers weren't quite that good before 2021, but he was 21 before that, and he had already gotten to AA. We didn't see him in 2020, but a lot of players made jumps that we didn't see. He might be one of them. So I think he's the most interesting of the options there.
All right, for more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. We'll be back again on Monday morning. Bye-bye.